Shalom, everybody. Welcome to this week's Journey Through Torah. This week we are in Parsha Ki Tavo, starting in Deuteronomy 26, 1 to 29, 8. And we're talking about the promises of Israel going into the land, which is very important because when Yahweh brought them out of Mitzrayim, he said, I'm going to bring you to this land. The promises of Yahweh ring true. Now, we understand something, guys. Sometimes it takes time. You know, in the case of Israel, it took 40 years to get to the wilderness, but that was because the people didn't have the faith to follow Yahweh and to go into the land 40 years ago. You know, so Yahweh's promises are true, but he's asking us to walk in them. Let me put it this way. Just like Yeshua said, follow me. He's asking us to follow him, walk in his ways, and his promises will continue to ring true for us. So he's reminding Israel here at this time, Deuteronomy 26, he says, when you get to the land. He's not saying if you get to the land. He says, when you get to the land. And that's something that Israel should stand firm in. That's something they should stand strong in. He says, I am going to take you to the land. And guys, the promise that we have for us is just as real today. Yahweh says, I'm going to resurrect you and bring you all home. We need to be able to stand in that promise and believe him that he says he's going to bring us into the fullness of our promise. And furthermore, what about the promises that we have for living day by day by day? Yahweh's word is true. And so here he's reminding Israel, when you get to the land, there's some things I want you to do. And essentially, it is to don't forget who brought you there. Don't forget who brought you through everything that you've been brought through. And don't forget who gave you everything that you have, and walk with Yahweh and bless him and learn to dwell as one people. So these are the things we're going to be talking about as we go through the rest of this study. So Deuteronomy 26:1 says, when you enter the land that Adonai your God is giving you as an inheritance, and you possess it and dwell in it. Remember, I said when, not if. So this promise is for all people. And let me put it to you this way. This promise of going into the land is for whosoever will. Whosoever will follow Yahweh, will enter into covenant with him, and will have a place in the land among the people. Guys, even in the book of Revelation, we're talking about the New Jerusalem, right? There's a time coming when Yahweh is going to bring us all home. And this promise goes all the way back to the very beginning, but we start to really see it unfold in the promises that Yahweh gave to Abraham. Genesis 12:7 says, Adonai appeared to Avram, and he said, I will give this land to your seed. And so there he built an altar to Adonai, and who had appeared to him. So again, Yahweh appeared to Avram and promised him, all that you see, this land right here, I will give to your descendants. Exodus 6:8 says, I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, and give it to you as an inheritance. I am Yahweh. So the promise of gathering the people is for Israel, but is for also those joined with Israel. The promise of entering the promise is for all people, for whomever will follow Yahweh. Isaiah 43:5-7 says, do not fear, for I am with you. And I will bring your offspring from the east and gather you from the west. And I will say to the north, give them up. And to the south, don't hold back. Bring my sons far and my daughters from the ends of the earth, everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory. I formed him, yes, I made him. And Isaiah 60:21 says, so then your people will all be righteous. They will possess the land forever, the branch of his planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. And in Jeremiah 32:37-41, it reads, see, I will gather them out of the countries where I have driven them in my anger, my fury, my great wrath, and I will bring them back to this place and cause them to dwell securely. They will be my people, and I will be their God. And I will give them one heart and one way, so that they may fear me forever, for their good and for their children after them. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, and I will never turn away from doing good for them. I will put my fear in their hearts so that they will not depart from me, and I will delight in doing good for them, and with all my heart, with all my soul, I will in truth plant them in this land. Again, these promises, Yahweh is bringing a return to his people. And guys, that's what we're looking for again. We're looking for that one more time when Yahweh brings his people back to return to him, and he gathers us all together to himself. Micah 4:1-2 says, "But at the end of days, the mountain of Adonai's house will be established as chief of the mountains and will be raised above the hills. People will flow to it. And then many nations will go and say, 'Come, let us go up to the mountain of Adonai, to the house of the God of Yaakov. And then he will direct us in his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For Torah will go forth from Zion, and the word of Adonai from Yerushalayim.'" Again, the promise of Yahweh, his word will go forth from him and gather in all the people to bring them to a place where he has placed his name in the earth. Isaiah 56:6-8 says, "And the foreigners who join themselves to Yahweh minister to him, to love the name of Yahweh, and to be his servants. Everyone who keeps Shabbat and does not profane it and holds fast to my covenant, these I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. And the Lord God who gathers the outcast of Israel declares, I will gather yet others to him besides those already gathered." See, just as the promise of Israel to go into the land, we have this promise as well. Even the people from all nations who join themselves to Yahweh, to minister to him, to come into a place of covenant with him, we will all be brought together and to worship. And even the outcasts of Israel, we will all be brought together to worship and declare his great name in the earth. Zechariah 14:16-17 says, "Then all the survivors from all nations that attack Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King, Adonai Tzavaot, and to celebrate Sukkot. Furthermore, if any of the nations on the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, Adonai Tzavaot, they will have no rain." So again, we have going up to Jerusalem to worship Yahweh. Guys, we can worship wherever, and we should, absolutely. But there is a special place throughout the scripture where Yahweh says he has placed his name for all of us to gather in together. And we do so as one people, not different denominations, not different nationalities, as one people, a people called by his name. And Yeshua says this is what he's come to do. He is the shepherd that is going to gather in the sheep. John 10:14-16 says, "I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not from this fold. Those also I must lead, and they will listen to my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd." Again, the promise that the shepherd is going to go get the sheep and bring them all home. Yeshua confirmed, Matthew 15:24, he said, "I was sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel," that is, gathering in those who were either outcast or exiled, and calling all to return to him. And he even makes this parable with it. Luke 15:4-7 says, "Which among you, if he has 100 sheep and loses one of them, will not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the lost one until he finds it? When he's found it, he puts it on his shoulders rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, and he says, 'Rejoice with me, for I found my sheep that was lost.' And I tell you, in the same way, there will be more joy in heaven over one repenting sinner than over the 99 righteous people who have no need of repentance." Again, he's saying that we've gone astray, but he's gathering us all back in. And when he does so, he didn't say, I go and I get the one, leave the 99, get the one, and then I just stay with the one. No, he gets the one and brings them back to be with the 99. Okay, so that's the idea. He's bringing us back in to be part of a people. Yeshua is gathering people from all nations to come together and worship Yahweh. See, the land was a sign of a promise that Yahweh gave. He said, "I will bring you to this land." Guys, Yeshua is the sign of a promise to gather in as one people from all nations. We gather in his light. He is the lighthouse. He is the beacon of hope and of light and life that we all come to. And he is the promise, the fulfillment of all those promises for us. Isaiah 11:10-12 says, "It'll also come about in that day that the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the people." Who's the root of Jesse? Yeshua. And he says the nations will seek after him, and his resting place will be glorious. And it will also come about in that day that my Lord will again redeem a second time with his hand the remnant of his people who remain from Assyria, Egypt, Patros, Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamat, and from the islands of the sea. And he will lift up a banner. That word, same word for banner is miracle, right? Nes, banner. Banner and oath is for signs. So he will lift up the banner for the nations and assemble the dispersed of Israel and gather the scattered of Judah from the four corners of the earth. This root of Jesse, Yeshua, is going to be lifted up so that all will see him, and he will gather in from all the nations, and from where everyone is, he will gather and bring all in together. Isaiah 18:3 says, all you inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth, when a banner is raised on the mountains, look, and when the shofar is blown, listen. I'm thinking this is kind of a first and second time, all right? When the banner is raised up on the mountains, when the sign of the miracle is raised up on the mountains, that's Yeshua, when he was lifted up for his crucifixion, death, burial, resurrection, right? And then it says, when the shofar is blown, listen, that's his return. When the shofar is blown, that we listen and we wait for that. And Zechariah 9:16 says, Adonai, their God, will save them on that day as the flock of his people, and they will be like gems of a crown sparkling over his land. See that? You are a special treasure to him. That's what Peter says. You are a peculiar people. It's segulah, which means a special treasure that is valued so much that he locks it away in a safe for keeping and protection. That's how he feels about you. John 11:49-52, it's Caiaphas was prophesying that Yeshua would die for the nation, but not just this nation only, but he would also bring in all the scattered of the children of God that are scattered all over. And that's what he's doing, guys. We have the promise of going into the land. We have the promise of walking in covenant. We have the promise of living with him. And Yeshua is a fulfillment of this covenant promise of going into the fullness of this covenant that he's called us to. And how do we do that? We follow him. He is the light of the world. If the world is dark, he is the light of the world. Follow him. Isaiah 60:1 says, arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Yahweh has risen upon you. The light is the presence of Yahweh. And if you continue, Isaiah 60:2-3, it says, for darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness the people. But Yahweh will rise upon you, and his glory will be seen upon you. All nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. So his light, and though it's dark in the world, his light will be revealed. Isaiah 40:3-5 says, a voice cries in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahweh, make straight a desert and the highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain and hill made low, and the uneven ground will become level, and the rough places a plain. And the glory of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. Who is this speaking of? Yeshua. Yochanan said, I'm one crying out in the wilderness, right? He was testifying of Yeshua, that he is the one that is coming after him. We read in John 1:1-9. It says, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. And he was in the beginning with God. And all things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And there was a man sent from God whose name was John, Yochanan. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that all might believe through him. And he was not the light, but he came to bear witness about the light, the true light, which gives light to everyone coming into the world. And this is what Yeshua was saying in John 8:12. He says, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. Again, he is to light the path before us. Your word is a lamp to my feet, a light to my path, right? Where does this path lead? Restoration. This path leads back home. It leads back to the presence of Yahweh and gathering together as his people. In John 12:46, Yeshua said, I've come into the world as light, so whoever believes in me may not remain in darkness. So how do we live? What are we supposed to do? Well, if he lives in you, then his light is there. The word written in your heart, that's what it's there for, to illuminate those in darkness, to give a better way to those who are searching for it, to shine the light on the path so we avoid all the potholes and everything that's there. Though Yeshua said, I am the light of the world, in Matthew 5:14, he said, you are the light of the world. A city that is on a hill cannot be hidden. That's what he's getting at. People are looking at you to see him. People are looking at you to bring this restoration of promise and gathering in to be his people for them. And they're looking at you for the fulfillment of this. Ephesians 5:8 says, you were darkness, but now you're in the light of the Lord. So walk as children of the light. So how do we do this? How do we carry his light within us? Well, get in the word, stay in the word, of course, but learn how we can apply the word daily. It's not just something philosophical or theological. It's something for us to live. He says he's given his word to us so that we can have life, have it abundantly. Isn't that what Yeshua said he came for? It's come that they have life and have it abundantly, right? So we're supposed to carry the light within us. Isaiah 2:5 says, House of Yaakov, come, let us walk in the light of Yahweh. It's not our own ideas. It's not our own thoughts. It's not like his promises are only just things that we really want really bad. No, we need to walk in the promises that he's given to us. And as we see the fulfillment of these promises day by day, miracles all around us all the time that we may take for granted, then our faith starts to grow. We carry his word with us that is being written within us so that we can see the fulfillment of all these promises. Like we started off in this parsha, the fulfillment of the promise of bringing them into the promise. Well, that's what Yeshua is doing for us. In 1 John 1:5-7, it says, this is the message we have heard from him and proclaimed to you, that God is light and in him is no darkness at all. If we say we have fellowship with him while we walk in darkness, we lie and do not practice the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Yeshua, his son, cleanses us from all sin. This is what Yeshua's called us to. This is what Yahweh's called us to follow him, to do what he did, right? To walk like Yeshua. And that's to be the light to the world. Isaiah 42:6 says, I am Yahweh, I have called you in righteousness. I will take you by the hand and keep you, and I will give you as a covenant to the people and a light for the nations. Speaking of Yeshua, yes, but again, if you are a follower here, if you're a disciple, then this is for you. Isaiah 49:6 says, is it too light a thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Yaakov and to bring back the preserved of Israel? I will make you as a light for the nations, that my salvation may reach to the ends of the earth. See that? This light is to help bring in all those that were scattered, to raise up the tribes of Yaakov, bring back the preserved of Israel, and all of those joined with them that we see in Ezekiel's vision about the dry bones and the sticks in Ezekiel 37. So here we have, it says his salvation to reach the end of the earth. Guys, that's what we're looking at. And that's what you're supposed to carry with you. Isaiah 51:4 says, give attention to me, my people, and give ear to me, my nation. For a law will go out from me, and I will set my justice for a light to the people. See? Yahweh's perfect justice. That which judges our adversary. That which sets you free. This is what we're supposed to follow. His word, his life, his light. Isaiah 60:19-22 says, the sun shall be no more your light by day, nor brightness shall the moon be your light, but Yahweh will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory. Your sun shall no more go down, nor your moon withdraw itself, for Yahweh will be your everlasting light, and your days of mourning shall be ended. Your people shall all be righteous, and they shall possess the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I might be glorified. The least one shall become a clan, and the smallest one a mighty nation. I, Yahweh, in its time, I will hasten it. And Revelation 21:23-27 says, the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, For the glory of God gives it light, and its lamp is the Lamb. By its light will the nations walk, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory to it. And its gates will never be shut by day, and there will be no night there. But nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor anyone who ever does what is detestable or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. That's what we're looking at, guys. That's you. And just as we have the promise of Israel going into the land and walking in the promise and the fulfillment of what he's given to them there, we have the same promise here in Revelation. That we can look forward with surety that just as sure as he brought Israel into the land, he's bringing us into this, our eternal promise, our hope of a place for us to gather together in peace and in harmony and to worship the one true God and just have this wondrous relationship with him and each other too, guys. His promises are true, not just for you, but for his people. And so we need to walk in the fullness of all of those. And that means we're going to love him, we're going to walk with him, but we're also going to look out for one another too. And we're going to help grow each other up. We're going to help be disciples of him. And we're going to help each other walk the path. If we fall, we pick them up and keep walking. And that's what we're supposed to do, guys. Yahweh's promises are true, but he's asking us to walk in them. And that's the day-by-day thing that we're looking at. As we go through the book of Deuteronomy, you see continually, and we've talked about this just recently, you see continually how I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, or here's life, here's curse. Remember Shechem, Gerizim, and Aval? It's your choice what you're going to do with your life today. And so, are you going to use it for good? Are you going to use it to show the light of Yahweh? Are you going to use it to continue to walk in the fulfillment of the promises that he's given to you step by step? And in doing so, we're going to help lock arms with those around us and help keep each other from falling and to continue to walk with him and his ways. Okay. Well, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I hope this has been a blessing to you, encouraged you, challenged you a little bit too. And if it has, then please share it. Whatever avenue you watch or you listen to these teachings, please share them and help get them out there. If it's been a blessing to you, then it's going to bless somebody else too, right? So please share them and help get them out there. And if this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation on whatever avenue you watch or listen. Just please consider making a donation to help us to continue to put these out there, because we can only do that because you enable us to do so. Okay, so help us to continue to do that and put these out to be life-changing for all those who hear. All right. So until next time, guys, be blessed and be a blessing. Shalom.